something so improbable, the impossible has happened.
5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes! Unbelievable.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, wow! In your life have you seen anything like that?
Hey TJ, what's going on? I'm Chandler, and this is Tyler With Sports. Welcome to a special edition of this all-crazy sports newscast.
Hey everybody, I'm Chandler With Sports, and this is the Sport Report.
Chandler With Sports is how he wants to go. With is his middle name, Sports his last name.
At the Sport Report, we pride ourselves on
neutral,
down the middle coverage
with an analytical spin.
We remove the bias so you can think about a team without any outside opinion.
No crazy points for attention.
No power rankings.
No opinions.
Just sports.
We're going to throw out the bias and throw in some facts. We're out to change the game. So without further ado,
here we go. Hit it, Blaze.
This is the Sport Report.
Hey everybody, I'm Chandler With Sports. This is the Sport Report. I was out last week. I lost my voice, had a really bad cold. Tyler Corbo filled in very nicely, so thanks to him for coming in the clutch. All right, on to the sports news. We're going to make this quick. It is March Madness. It is one of the busiest times of the year for any, diehard sports fans like ourselves. So, we will begin with an update on college basketball.
Valpo has won the game! A miracle!
No good! By George, the dream is alive!
NCAA men's basketball.
Selection Sunday is 3 days away, and 14 of the 68 teams have been selected. There will be 32 auto bids from the 32 different conferences, and 36 at-large teams based upon the best resumes in college basketball from this season. So far, Kennesaw State, Montana State, UNC Asheville, Charleston, Northern Kentucky, Drake, Fairleigh Dickinson, Southeast Missouri, Gate, Furman, Texas A&M Corpus Christi, Louisiana, Oral Roberts, and Gonzaga have punched their tickets to the big dance. Again, Selection Sunday is on Sunday, 6 p.m. Eastern on CBS. Everybody will find out the bracket at the same time. Then you got about 90 hours to fill out your brackets, and the first games will begin at about 12 p.m. Eastern time on Thursday. And then Thursday and Friday, there's 32 games, and it is absolute chaos, and it is the best 2 days of the year. I mean, personally, I turn my phone off, and nobody gets a hold of me. So it's going to be an awesome year. This is going to be one of those years, from the looks of it, where there's just going to be chaos. There's so many number ones this year. There's so many teams going in and out of the rankings, and so many different games that are going on that, have produced a lot of upsets. So buckle down, buckle up, I guess you could say. This is officially March Madness. Conference tournaments continue today on Thursday with games from 16 different conferences. No teams will officially enter the tournament as automatic winners of their conference until Saturday and Sunday. On Saturday, there are 13 conference championships. On Sunday, there are 5, and then there's the selection show later. For more updated information and bracketology updates, visit our website, thesprt.wordpress.com, for more information and an updated look at a potential bracket. We use our Sport Report algorithms that combine data and neutrality, and we find a way to produce a projection of the field, I guess you could say. There's no opinions, there's no bias. I mean, this is the Sport Report after all. All right, on to the pros, where the NBA is taking a backseat a little bit to the NCAA for the next couple of weeks. In the NBA, in the Eastern Conference, the Boston Celtics get back on track behind Jason Tatum's 30 points. They beat the Blazers by 22 points. They had lost 4 of their last 5 prior to their most recent victory. They'll play the Hawks in their next game. Giannis Antetokounmpo, the Greek Freak, had a triple-double the other night, but the NBA rescinded the 10th rebound after Giannis said that he stole the rebound. The NBA goes back and reviews stats after every game. Well, that stat dropped his rebound average by .02, so he's just averaging just under 12 rebounds a game. But his shooting percentage, because the shot didn't technically count as a rebound, improved from .538 to .539. Yeah, we're an analytics podcast. We felt like we'd throw it in. In the Eastern Conference standings, the Milwaukee Bucks are 9-1 in their last 10 games. They've won 15 of their last 16. They are now 2 games ahead of the Boston Celtics and 4 games ahead of the Philadelphia 76ers. That's 1, 2, 3 in the East, and followed by the Cavs, Knicks, and Nets, the Heat, Hawks, Raptors, and Wizards, 7 through 10. In the Western Conference, the Denver Nuggets have a stranglehold of the Western Conference standings. They lead the Sacramento Kings and the Memphis Grizzlies by 7 games each. Memphis Grizzlies are without their star Ja Morant, who went to a nightclub in Denver and flashed a gun. He's been suspended for 2 games, and he'll miss the next 4 after that, after the team instituted their own kind of mini suspension for him. As for Ja Morant, I don't remember Carmelo Anthony playing around with guns during his day. Somebody said that the other day. That's reserved for Gilbert Arenas. The Phoenix Suns were supposed to have Kevin Durant for his first home game, and he injured his ankle in a pregame warm-up. He missed the game, and he hopes to be back soon, pending an MRI. The Warriors and Clippers round out the top 6, followed by the Timberwolves, Mavericks, Lakers, and Pelicans in the top 10. The Thunder, Blazers, and Jazz are a game out of the Lakers and Pelicans in the 9th and 10th positions. There must have been a lost bug going around in Boston because the Boston Bruins and the Boston Celtics are tops of their respective conferences, or at least they were, and both teams started to stumble out of the All-Star stretch, and the Celtics are now in second, but the Bruins are still in first. They're 17 games ahead of the Maple Leafs, and with 20 games to play, they could lock up the Eastern Conference here in the next couple of weeks. The Bruins have won 10 games in a row after dropping 4 of their last 5 out of the break. That's the Atlantic Division. Boston Bruins, Toronto Maple Leafs, and the Tampa Bay Lightning are behind them. In the Metro, the Carolina Hurricanes lead the New Jersey Devils by 4 games. The Devils were rebuilding, or at least supposed to be, but they're in second in their division. They're ahead of the New York Rangers, who acquired Patrick Kane from the Chicago Blackhawks. And behind them, the New York Islanders. The 2 New York teams, 3rd and 4th in the Metro. The Pittsburgh Penguins in 5th in the Metro. If the season were to end today, the Penguins would actually not be in the playoffs, or the Penguins would be in the playoffs over the Florida Panthers. In the Western Conference, the Dallas Stars and the Minnesota Wild are on 81 points, with the Colorado Avalanche behind by 5 points. If the Avs win their 3 games in hand, they would overtake the Wild for at least second and potentially be in first place over the Stars. So that Western Conference Central Division, really key to pay attention to that. In the Pacific, it is the Vegas Golden Knights and the LA Kings on 82 points, the Seattle Kraken on 80, and the Edmonton Oilers on 78. It's going to be a dogfight in the Pacific. All right, on to soccer. Delirium at the Emirates. Arsenal fight back from 2 goals down versus relegation-threatened Bournemouth. On the half volley, a left-footed shot from Reece Nelson into the opposite end of the goal sends the Gunners into their London derby with in-form Fulham next Sunday on the coattails of a magnificent comeback victory. They lead by 5 points over Manchester City. Manchester United were in the title hunt until their arch-rivals Liverpool rolled into Anfield and annihilated them. 7-0. If you looked at the score, you would have said, oh, that's the end of the first quarter. No, 7-0 is not the end of the first quarter. It's the end of the 90 minutes in which Manchester United got throttled. Meanwhile, Liverpool are on the coattails of Tottenham Hotspur and Newcastle United for that final spot in the top 4. The top 4 advance to Champions League football, which is the most prestigious tournament in all of European soccer. In Italy, Roma beat Juventus 1-0. Jose Mourinho was suspended for the match after yelling at a 4th official who was from Turin in the previous match before the Juventus game for Roma. Napoli lead the league by 15 points, and they're seemingly going to run away with it. In La Liga, Barcelona lead Real Madrid, and in France, it's PSG trying to pull away. In Germany, Bayern Munich are battling with Union Berlin and Borussia Dortmund, who are on a really hot streak right now. Dortmund were knocked out of the Champions League, so now they can focus on Bundesliga. Who'd they get knocked out by? They got knocked out by Chelsea, who are mid-table in the Premier League. Graham Potter's having a rough first year, but they're going to figure it out at some point in time. The World Baseball Classic begins in Major League, in baseball. It's not really Major League Baseball, but some MLB stars will be playing in the WBC. That begins this upcoming week. Okay, Summer McIntosh. Who's Summer McIntosh? She's a 16-year-old swimmer from Canada. Why do we mention swimming? We talked about Michaela Schifrin a few weeks ago, and she's really close to breaking the record. She's got 85 wins in skiing. But Summer McIntosh of Canada beat Katie Ledecky, one of the best American swimmers of all time. She beat her to the wall in the 200-meter freestyle in Fort Lauderdale this past week. Ledecky hadn't lost in a domestic competition in 9 years prior to last Friday. Absolutely crazy. We try to find as much sports news as we can fit into a, 12-minute podcast or so. That covers the Sport Report for this week. We'll be back next week with the latest in sports.
For now, I'm Chandler.
So let it be written, so let it be done.
Thanks for tuning into the Sport Report today. We'll be back on our next episode with the latest in sports. Right now, we're still working on a website, but if you want to follow us on social media, we are at SR_CWS on Instagram and Twitter. You can also find our podcast on Anchor, Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, You name it, we're on almost every podcast platform.
This podcast is copyrighted by The Sport Report for viewers to understand sports from a news reporting basis. Any other use of this podcast, Sport Report logos, or anything associated with this podcast without the express written consent of Chandler With Sports is strictly prohibited.